Hello, welcome to Scratch 3D Printing. In this video, I have the Anycubic Kobra S1 Combo to unbox for you. Let's scratch today's 3D printer. Anycubic did not send me this 3D printer, but it's finally here. It took so long to get this thing to ship and to me. So I'm gonna go ahead and unbox this right now. As always, I have to put the 3D printer down on the floor so that I can get it out. Here we go. It's not the best thing, but whatever. So on the top, you will find the user manual. You will also get some Allen wrenches. Okay, let's do it like this. It's so much better. Holy crap, that is so heavy. I am able to deadlift a 3D printer. How cool is that? Okay, now that we got this on the table, I forgot to mention, I also bought the PLA platoon from Anycubic. It was a combo with this, and these PLA are 50% off, so that's what I got it. Oh, look at that. So at the top here is the screen with some foam to protect it, and now we just got to take all the foam off. And here is the lid for this piece up here. Once I get this set up, I think everything will come together. They give you a guide how to remove the Ace Pro. Okay, one thing I noticed already is that the screen, it cannot go any lower than this. It can go backward, but it cannot go forward. Because some people want to tilt this downward. Let's say the 3D printer is higher up. They want to tilt this downward a little bit instead of tilting it backward. But I guess if you don't use the screen, you can just tilt this backward to save some space. So let's go ahead and remove the Ace Pro. Let's take everything out now. We need to remove these two screws first, then we will be able to lift the Ace Pro out. And it's the biggest one. Now that I got the screw out, I can go and deadlift this out with one hand. We will look at this later. Now that we got that out of the way, we need to remove those screws with the orange arrow right there so that we can remove this support for shipping. Got the box of accessory out. For whatever reason, this screw is so hard to remove. There we go. Oh my gosh, that was so many screws just for this piece. So let's take a look at this box right here. You get this thing. It's called anti-blocking module, a USB drive, Anycubic pass card, a spool holder, cable to connect to the Ace Pro, a power cord cable, nozzle cleaning module, nozzle silicone part, screw for spool holder, screw for filament hub, lubricant such as motor mount. For lubrication, I'd rather have like a small tube, another power cord for the Ace Pro or the Kobra S1, active carbon for air filtering, which is nice, bolt and tube holder, a nozzle cleaner, which is quite good. I have not seen these in many 3D printers. For the Kobra S1, they don't give you extra nozzle and they don't give you a plier, which is a bummer in my opinion, because these things are so nice for cutting. This is a thick zip ties. Wow. Okay, let's unveil this. Oh. Wow, look at that. It's so beautiful. It moves very smoothly. Okay, let's get rid of this. It's for the poop chute. Look at that. This design right here is a little bit different from the K2. The poop goes in like this, and then I think the head is gonna hit that, right? So that it will open for the filament poop to go down there. Goes out to the back, and it's just gonna fall onto the ground. I'm gonna be making something so that it catches this, similar to the K2 Plus. So stay tuned for that video. So now that I got everything out of the 3D printer, let's take a closer look at this 3D printer right here. So this 3D printer build plates for PLA, ABS, PTG, ASA, but it can definitely do more. And it looks like you have these screws or whatever these are back there to hold in the build plate so that you can align this perfect every single time. We got a filter right here. We got the carbon filter right there, so I'll be putting that in later. I wish there was already one in there so that you have one extra. This is your siphon or auxiliary fan. I get why they only do one because it's a smaller 3D printer, but still, I would love to see on both sides. And the screw setup is still, you know, kind of old-fashioned in my opinion. Still 3 screws like a triangle. I'd rather have 2 on this side, 2 on this side, pretty much like the K2 Plus, because that is more balanced than doing 3 like this. let's take a look at the bottom, which is weird because for mine it does not have a panel. Can you guys tell me if your 3D printer is like this too? For the bottom, it does not have a panel or what. And right here, I believe you can unscrew this, tension this, and then screw it back in. But it's quite weird that it does not have a bottom panel. Stuff can get in here, stuff can get into the belt, go in here, and you know, it might ruin something, but hey, it's their design. It does have cutout for a bottom panel, but for mine, it's just not there. It's quite weird, but I can't find the motor that drives the bed. It could be hidden somewhere back there. And I'm thinking the reason why the back is way big is that in this corner right here is where the power supply is. It's not the bottom, the power supply is back here. And if we look at the motor, moving the head, that one's bent, and that one's been. There is a camera right here to detect failure, or you can watch the 3D print. Okay, let's get the top panel in. Oh my gosh, this is gonna be so satisfying. Oh yeah. I'm not gonna remove this. Look at that, fits in very nicely. Okay, let's remove this for the Kobra S. Ooh, look at that. Oh my gosh, dude, that is the most satisfying thing to unbox anything. It looks so clean. You can see my reflection, wow. But this is not glass, it's just plastic. So, I mean, well, plastic does not break or shatter like glass. So I guess it's fine. Okay, let's put this in. So to get this in, you just pull this thing back here and you just shove this thing right in there. Now, let's get this thing back. There we go. Everything that's gonna get filtered out is gonna go through that bag. Okay, now for the Ace Pro. Look at that. So we're gonna unlock this. Oh, it's already unlocked. Okay, so from the first impression of this, it's a little bit different the previous generation because this, it has these things up here, plastic up here, which I believe it will hold in the filament so much better. So in here, you got teeny tiny row of filament, which is, in my opinion, this is basically useless. You can't use this for anything. It would be so good if they just provide a spool of filament for you so that you can just get started printing with this Ace Pro and your 3D printer instead of having this small wasted filament. But in here you have 4 ball and tube. The design is very similar to the previous generation, but it's just this added up here. If we take a look at the back and the bottom side here, you can see that they still use this old style blue clamp here for clamping in the ball and tube. You have 2 plug here for the Kobra S1 so that you can use 2 of these Ace Pro and your power is right here. It's very similar to the previous generation. Okay, let's finally get this thing set up. Okay, to get this set up, we need this thing so that the filament can go in here from the tube up there. And we need to plug this in to the 6 pin right here. Now we're gonna use those 2 screws provided for this filament hub here. There's 2 holes right here. We just put this thing through. Here, right here is gonna be where the filament is gonna go if you're just doing 1 spool. And you have this, so I guess you don't need an extra filament tube because this is just gonna go right in there. We get this cable to connect the Ace Pro. For this, you want to use the 6 pin for the Ace Pro right here, and then the 4 pin for the Kobra S1 right here. There we go. It's quite long. Looks like these are brand new. Has not been tested or used. Interesting. Just like that. Make sure it's all tight. And now we can just put these up here. I'm gonna do 4, 3, 2, 1. There you go. That's the setup. And yeah, so I just turn this thing around and get printing. Oh, we need to plug this in too. There we go. Finally, everything is done. Let's take a look at this. So how do we remove this thing? Squeeze and pull. But be very careful because the fan is right here. This fan is quite big. Wow, which is really nice. But be careful because there's a plug right here. You don't want to yank this out. You might yank the cable out and it might be ruined. So this, it looks like it's a bigger fan than what I usually see, which is nice. Okay, let's take a look at this. So there's a small fan right here cooling this heat sink right here, and right here is gonna be the filament cutter right here. If we look over here, the Kobra S is gonna go here and then come forward, hit this thing right here, pushing this spring back like that, and the blade is right inside there. So once it does this, it's gonna cut the filament inside of the extruder, which is really cool. Anycubic. Why do you keep using these old connector? Man, that's like one of the things that I just don't like about this. On the Kobra 3, it doesn't have this connector. But for this, they just keep using these blue connector, which is like so old-fashioned. This lever right here is where you can it's where it's tensioning the filament that's coming down. Let's remove the silicone. Hopefully the S1 is not like the Kobra 3 where it's leaking and they just use crazy adhesive inside of the nozzle to make it not leak. It seems that, it kind of seems that way. If we look closely at this, look at that. You can see there's adhesive in there and adhesive up there onto the nozzle, locking in the nozzle. So changing the nozzle will be very difficult, but that's why you got me. Future video, I'll try and change this nozzle and test to see if there's leaking. But if you see this thing right here, I was wondering what is this thing. If you pull this up like that, it's gonna release the nozzle and you can pull down the nozzle very easily. Of course, you need to unplug these two wires back here in order to fully pull this out. I don't want to do that right now, and it seems like those wires are like in a complicated spot. To get this thing back up, we just push this thing all the way up, push this lever down all the way back, and now it's stuck in there, which is a simple, nice design. Okay, enough with that. Let's plug this in, and then let's power on the 3D printer. Very easy to put it back. Okay, the moment of truth. Power this thing on. Oh, it worked. Power the Ace Pro. I think it worked. It's waking up. Okay, so let's go through this. Wow, it's loud. Real global. It's weird. The beeping sound is weird. Okay, now that I got everything set up, I'm gonna have to put in the USB drive on the side right here. I'd rather have it to the top here, but whatever. And now it's gonna do its thing. Hopefully I removed everything. Oh, and by the way, it advertised that this is only 44 decibel of loudness, but as of right now, it seems way louder than that. Okay, it's a really good thing that I bought this loudness test, so we're gonna do it right now. We're gonna stand where the camera is, which is about, I think, 2 feet or 2.5 feet. That's about 56, 60 loudness for the motor just moving. Okay, that's not 44 decibel at all, man. It is not 44 decibel printing. My talking voice is about 60 to 70. Okay, this one does not count, but I'll do the test later. Wow, that is louder than usual. Everything has done setting up, and let's take a look at the setting up here. Let's take a look at this and see what kind of setting we are working with. So here is your home page. Hopefully there's a way we can shut that beeping off. So here we can start printing the test model. We have all of these, which we don't have any filament, but we will get to that. Cloud, history, stuff like that. The screen is very smooth, but why can't they just make it a lot less bezel, right? Just make it over here so that it looks nice, but whatever. It's very smooth, I like it. And if you go to your second setting, that's gonna be your Ace Pro, your filament, your holder. Unable to switch because we have this, which is a bummer, but hey, it's what it is. We can set up the dryer. Okay, it's not running, but whatever, it's okay. We can do filament backup, remaining 8 hours-ish. What? That is weird. Remaining. Okay, so we can dry for 8 hours. Oh, there we go. We need to set everything up. Okay. I just turn it off, but that is a weird way to word the time. They should just put hour or time here. That would be so much better. And now it's not shutting off. You can select your filament right here. Let's go next. That's gonna be your setting for your nozzle, your calibration, your movement and stuff like that. Look at that, we click and the head is moving. The motor is engaged. We can extrude, unextrude. We can do calibrations, PDI calibrations, input shaping, auto leveling. The fan is not running at all, but it is quite loud right now. Chamber, everything is off. Okay, I don't know how to turn the dryer off because it is off, but it's still running. As you can hear that, it's still running. That is weird. I turn it off. Why is it still running? If we go all the way down, it's where you can connect to Wi-Fi, your 3D printer setting, and you can turn off the LED, filament detector, belt detections, your print setting. Let's see what that is. Oh, that's that. Okay. And then your nozzle, hard and steel, 0.8, 0.6, and stuff like that. That's really interesting. None of the 3D printers that I have these options. In general, your sound. We can turn off the sound. Let's go. Nice. That is so amazing. Change your language, your screen off time. I'm gonna put it to 5 minutes because. And then your wiki, your system, restore all setting. You can use that to connect to Anycubic slicer snacks. Filament version, the Ace Pro version is that. Wi-Fi setting and the IP, it's nothing. There's no IP address. Okay, that's all the setting. I cannot turn this off for whatever reason. Oh, and also if you hear that noise, right? If you hear that wind noise, is the power supply back here. Why can't 3D printers company just shut the power supply fan off? The only one that I know that has that feature is the K1 Max. That's it. And then the K2 Plus does not have that. The Kobra 3 doesn't have that. The Kobra S1 doesn't have that. That is very annoying to me. I don't know if it's just me or what, but I really wish we can turn off the fan for the power supply. Okay, now is a really good time to do a sound test. It's about 2 feet from the 3D printer, just with the power supply fan. Let's see how loud this is. $54 dB, and they advertise that this 3D printer can print as low as 44 dB standard, which is false because the fan is way louder than everything. Let's get these filament unboxed and start printing. Since they don't provide you with filament, you gotta buy yourself. Let's see this first filament here. Interstellar Violet. Second spool is the spring leaf. Okay, now this is in cardboard. The tropical turquoise and their peach fuzz. Okay, interesting. It's a little bit different. We're putting up here and then just put it into the hole right here. Let's see what happens if I just put this thing right in there. Okay, so just gonna pull this new one. And cardboard spool sucks because if it's bent like this, it doesn't want to go in, or it doesn't want to roll. So if you just put in a new filament, it's just gonna do that one and not do the previous one. Looks like this one is a speedy benchy, 14 minutes 36 seconds. So let's just, start printing. Wow, that is a very long time for the Kobra S2 setup. I feel like it's been over 6 minutes, and the Kobra S now is just pooping. Okay, now that it's quite fast, so right now it's a really good time to do my testing. So they claim 44 dB, about 2 feet from 3D printer. It took 18 minutes 60 seconds to finish the benchy. So let's take a look. Okay, so for whatever reason, my recording did not have any audio but I've been using the Kobra S1 for the past 2 days now, and it has been really good. It has printed everything that I printed flawlessly, and let's take a look at what I printed. So I printed this bolt benchy. It was pre-sliced on the Kobra S1, and as you can see there, it looks really nice. All the layer lines are stacking quite good on top of each other. It has a really nice first layer. You can easily read what it says on the bottom there. And on the back here, it printed really nicely. You can almost read what it says. The top layer finisher is quite good. Overall, the benchy bolt print is good. What surprised me is this next test that I did here was the overhang test or everything test here. But the overhang here surprised me the most. But first, we're going to take a look at these rod here. The layer is not that consistent. You can see that some parts are bigger and some parts are smaller. It's like getting squished out or something like that. But the overhang here is really amazing. 80-degree overhang, and it still prints that good, which is crazy. And through my 3D printing journey, all my 3D printers that I got has not printed 80 overhang this good. The Kobra S1 really surprised me on the overhang test right here. The bridging here also looks really good. There's a little bit of sagging, but overall it prints the bridge really nicely. The only one downside is that the layer is not that consistent when it's printing vertically. I don't know if that's by this design or what, but that's just what it looks like. And the top layer of this print isn't the best. For whatever reason, it doesn't really print a really good top layer for this. You can barely read what it's saying here. But overall, this print is still finished and really good. The next test here is a tolerance test from Orca Slicers. It ranges from 0 all the way to 0.4. So we're going to test the 0.4, 0.3. It passes both of them. Now onto the 0.2. It passes 0.2, and most 3D printers struggle with 0.1, but this one goes through 0.1 flawlessly. And now the 0.05, it just goes through with ease. Wow, that is really amazing. And the final test is the 0 tolerance right here. Let's see if this is gonna pass. And oh my gosh, dude, it just went through the 0 with ease. That is really amazing. And you can even move the piece up and down while it's in the 0 position. That is crazy good with the tolerance. Not sure if this is a fluke, but I've been printing this test for all my 3D printers, and this is the only one that has 0 tolerance beaten very easily. Then I did the first layer test. As you can see on this first layer test, it's only with one color, and you can see that half of it is not attaching to each other, but the other half is attaching really nicely to each other. Not sure if one side of the bed is warped or what, but it's just like that. Half is good, half is not. But despite this, all my 3D prints has came out flawlessly. I did another first layer test, but this time with 4 different colors. As you can see, the blue has fallen off or got ripped off from the rest of the 3D printed parts. It was not sticking that well with the rest of the 3D printed parts. This is printed horizontally instead of diagonally. You can see that the green has almost come off, but the purple and the pale color is sticking really nicely to each other. It's just like half of the bed is good, half of the bed is not good, but all my 3D print has came out flawlessly on the first layer, and the layer adhesion is really good for all my 3D prints. My next print is the flow rate test right here. This test here is from 10 volumetrics to 30 volumetrics. And as you can see here, near the top of the 30, it starts to not stick well with each other. But on the back of this print, it sticks really nicely to each other. It's just the front and the middle point of the 3D printer. It doesn't really have enough time to cool the filament to stick to each other, but getting 30 maximum flow rate is really good. So I was impressed by 30, and then I did another one. This one was from 20 to 40 maximum volumetric. And as you can see, about halfway it started to not stick to each other because that's the 30 mark, and the rest is just history. It's not sticking well to each other at all past beyond 30 maximum volumetric flow speed. And at the very top, it doesn't stick at all. It just doesn't stick at all. It can print all the way up to around 28, 29, which is really good. Most of the print that you do will not even surpass 25 volumetric speed. My next print is this Flexi Rex, and it just turns out really good. This was pre-sliced from the 3D printer. All I did was just click print and then just print. It just turns out really nicely. And then we get to multicolor printing. This axolotl I painted on him, and as you can see, it doesn't really turn out that good, but it's only 1 or 2 layers thick, and despite finishing this print, it turns out pretty good and everything works functional as intended. In all the colors, there's no color bleed or anything like that. My next print is this dummy 13. This was printed in PLA and all the part fits well together. Even the teeny tiny parts that only has 1 wall adhering to the bed, it still prints nice. Everything sticks to the bed really nicely. Nothing came off. Everything printed, finished, really good. And now for my final print is this panda right here. This panda took over 26 hours, which could have been done in 3 hours if there was no multicolor printing. But I painted the line, the tail, the feet, his hand, the heart, his eye, his ear, and his little teeny tiny hair there. I painted all of that to a different color just to see how good the Kobra S1 with the Ace Pro would be, and let me tell you, it turns out really good. Even some parts under his chin, under his bottom, really need supports, but I printed with no supports. Even his tail and all of them turns out quite good. Only a little bit of string right here, but you can just remove that. And despite overhang, it just prints nicely. All the colors are printed good, no color bleed or anything like that. There's no stringing or anything like that from this print. Multicolor with this machine just works. But with that beautiful print comes these filament poop, filament waste. It's just so much on the floor, but I'll be making a poop catcher in the future, so stay tuned for that video. So since my video was not recording audio, you guys would just have to watch this benchy being printed right here, and I will just have to voice over this. So with my 2 days of printing with the Kobra S1, I will have to say that this 3D printer is very nice to use, easy to use, and all the prints that I did just turns out really nicely. The only flaw I see on this printer is some of the layer line is not sticking that well on top of each other. It doesn't really have any VFA, which is good, but here are my suggestions for you whether you should get this 3D printer or not. So first, if you are getting into 3D printing and you are looking for your first 3D printer, the Kobra S1 Combo is a really good 3D printer to get because it just works out of the box. You just set it up and start printing. Everything works flawlessly with no issues at all based on my 2 days of testing. The second thing is that if you got one 3D printer, let's say a bed slinger, and you want another 3D printer, then the Kobra S1 Combo is a good choice for you to get also. It will introduce you to multicolor printing, a Core XY, an enclosure 3D printer, and a 3D printer that just works out of the box. With that, here are some of the reasons why you may or may not want to get the Kobra S1 Combo. The first thing is, if you already have a multicolor 3D printer like the Kobra 3, I would just suggest you get the Kobra Max. Because of the build volume of the Kobra Max is way bigger than the Kobra S1. The Kobra S1 has a similar build volume of the Kobra 3. So if you got the Kobra 3, get the Kobra Max instead of the Kobra S1. The second reason why you might not want to get the Kobra S1 is that if you got a 3D printer like the K2 Plus Combo, or like a Bamboo Lab, you may not want to get a Kobra S1. If you want to, go ahead and get it because the Kobra S1 is a good 3D printer. The Kobra S1, I feel like it's a little bit late to the game. If this would have come out last year, then it would have been one of the top 3D printer from last year. But since this year the K2 Plus has came out, Prusa also has their new Core XY, and Bamboo Lab just released their new 3D printer that is like really big and has 2 nozzles. I feel like this Kobra S1 is a little teeny tiny bit outdated. Despite all the things that they use, the 3 rods setup, like I said, the 3 rod setup is okay a couple years back, but now I feel like these should use 2 rods on each side and then 1 lead screw on each side with motor driving both of the lead screw. That would have been an ideal setup. So hopefully for Anycubic next bigger Kobra S1, hopefully they will go by that design, and maybe they will send me one of their new Core XY 3D printer if they made one. But yeah, anyway, and have 2 auxiliary fan. Even though it's a smart 3D printer, 2 auxiliary fans is still good. And the motors are quite loud. The motor sound reminds me of the Sidewinder 3D printer that I bought last year. It's a little bit kinky, it's a little bit loud, but overall, the design and the print functionality of the Kobra S1 is really good. It just print, it just work. With all that said, now it's time for my rating of the Kobra S1 for print quality. As you can see, the print quality is good on the benchy, but for some of my other print, the layer consistency is not there. So for print quality, I will have to give print quality an 8 out of 10. The tolerance, oh my god, the tolerance for my tolerance test there, it just beat it, so it's a 10 out of 10, no questions asked. The first layer is a little bit rough. The layers aren't connecting well with each other. Even with just one color, the first layer is still not sticking well to each other. So for the first layer, I want to give it about a 7 out of 10. Stringy, there's virtually no stringy from this 3D printer, and stringy is not from the 3D printer itself. It's from the filament, how dry it is, the room temperature, and stuff like that. There's a little bit stringy, so I will have to give stringy a 9 out of 10. Easy to use. The Kobra S1 is very easy to use. You don't need to do much. You just need to set it up, start printing, and you will get your print. So easy to use will be a 10 out of 10. And the overall rating will be right here for you to see, and all my rating, stuff like that. Well, that'll be it for this video of me unboxing and a little bit of review on the Kobra S1. Leave a comment down below. Have you bought the Kobra S1? Are you enjoying it? For me, I am enjoying the Kobra S1. As I've been printing for the past 2 days, it's been great. Leave a comment down below. Do you agree with the things I said or not? Leave a like on this video, subscribe to the channel because more amazing videos like this is coming all the time. And as always, keep on 3D printing.